Did you know, Mark, your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value.
That's right. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight into your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards.
A Bitcoin bonus. That is what I need in my life. So I guess I have to visit Gemini.com/card today. If you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
Issued by WebBank. To qualify for the $200 crypto intro bonus, you must spend $3,000 in your first 90 days. Some exclusions to instant rewards apply. This is not investment advice, and trading crypto involves risk. Check Gemini's website for more details on rates and fees.
Ready to level up? Chumba Casino is your playbook to fun. It's free to play with no purchase necessary. Enjoy hundreds of online social games like blackjack, slots, and solitaire. Anytime, anywhere with fresh releases every week. Whether you're at home or on the go, let Chumba Casino bring the excitement to you. Plus, get free daily login bonuses and a free welcome bonus. Join now for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Play Chumba Casino today. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. TNCs apply.
Heyo, welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast. On the evening that Super Bowl 60 was set, Dan Hanzus here with Marc Sessler, Conor Orr, Justin Graver on the ones and twos. And yes, it will be the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara. And Marc Sessler, it's a rematch of a game that we were at, I think 11 years ago, was the famous or infamous, depending on what side of it you come down on. Russell Wilson passed at the goal line, and now these two teams, totally different in so many ways, square off again. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful evening up north.
It's wild and not wild at the same time to see how many faces from that encounter simply have nothing to do with these two teams. They're completely new creations. And so I don't want to hear like the carryover about Russell Wilson and Beast Mode and Marshawn Lynch business. Like, get out of my face. Like, these are two totally different teams. And I look at this game right now and feel like what I just watched from Seattle in general, they just feel locked in. Now, I know it was not a perfect game for them, but they feel totally locked in. If we're going to say that the Patriots have not faced anyone still and they're 17-3, they're about to face someone.
Yes, they are. Connor, what do you think?
I'm just wondering, did we just watch like the Super Bowl almost in a way with the NFC title game? Because I'm here in Denver right now. I saw the AFC title game, left quite a bit to be desired, even though we'll get to it. And I had a blast. I loved every minute of it. I thought it was a great game, but I think we can safely say, like, I think the first line opened up and Seattle's already like a 5-point favorite in this game. So I think definitely Vegas is viewing it a certain way, and I'm looking at it a certain way too.
Yeah, we talked about it on Thursday. I said this harkened back to the old days of the early 90s when the Niners and the Cowboys would square off, and they were very clearly the two best teams in football, and then the AFC team would roll in 2 weeks later and be cannon fodder. Now, and listen, we're not going to go too deep on Super Bowl 60 tonight, but I guess we might be foolish to write off the Patriots at this point, but I also would think that if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, knowing what's befallen every opponent of the Patriots leading up to this point, I would probably go into hiding. I would go into an underground bunker. You might want to go into an underground bunker in this country right now, regardless. But like, I would be fully aware of what's happening and the destiny that could be, you know, the fairy dust around those Patriots. So you have an underdog Patriots team and a Seahawks team that survived a massive test from the Rams, and that's where we're going to start. And I want to give a shout out and hello to everyone, because we're live streaming again on this game. We'll be live streaming Super Bowl Sunday night as well. So shout out to everyone in the chat. We'll get to you guys a little bit later, and Justin will throw up comments here and there as well in the chat. So let's get into it. Let's start with what just went down at the stadium formerly known as the Clink. I think it's now Lumen Field. That
Correct.
Sounds about right. Who gives a shit? All right, let's get to it.
Sam out of the shotgun. Looks, steps, throws, back corner! Touchdown! Seahawks! JSN! On the left side, wide open. And you love to see defensive backs stop and look at each other and say, who the hell was supposed to cover him? He was wide open from 14 out, and the Seahawks retake the lead 16-13.
Yes, Steve Rabel and Dave Wyman, Seattle Sports 710. Just a wonderfully executed game plan by the Seahawks on offense. JSN was an absolute monster. You heard that touchdown that put them ahead midway through this game, a great shootout. JSN finished 10 for 153 and a touch on 12 targets in the NFC Championship game. That's stepping up as a true number one. And yes, Sam Darnold played the game of his life. Go away with all your Darnold narratives forever because he throws for 346 and 3 tutties. The Seahawks hold off the Rams 31-27. Darnold! Darnold Hive! Come into the Hive!
We're there.
Oh, man. It's bittersweet. It's bittersweet, Sassy.
It's
Bittersweet. As a Jets fan, it's bittersweet, but it's also the culmination, and maybe the ultimate culmination will be if this goes Seattle's way 2 weeks from tonight. But to see now Sam Darnold, who not only the way his career started, but also being cast aside by the Vikings after last year's disappointing ending, which the Vikings it continues to look worse and worse for them, that decision-making. And now with this brilliant Seattle team, how he piloted them so well all season, and then when they needed him to be at his best version of himself in the NFC Championship game, he slayed the Rams. What a story it is.
It's unless you're a Rams fan or you've got some personal grudge that we don't need to hear about, like this is the NFL at its heights in terms of what can happen to a player that goes through early career darkness, is written off, is memed left and right on X and Twitter and fill in the blank, and then he rises up again and he's supported. And I think he was supported by the Vikings to some degree until they had to make a hard decision about him. But he comes to Seattle that feels like the absolutely perfect spot. And even to the point where he had a couple games, one against the Rams, where he really melted, he worked his way out of it. And tonight was the crescendoing kind of like icing on top for me in this NFC. And it's the pairing of him with Clint Kubiak. We talked about Kubiak versus Chris Shula, two very hot names in a withering away coaching search at this point. But Kubiak was just so dialed in tonight. And as an example, I loved how they used Kenneth Walker out of the gate. His final box score doesn't look like what this was. He was punishing. They gave him 10 touches right away. And then they turn it around and just start throwing the ball deep to their stars. And it worked. I thought it allowed Darnold to ease into this game, to get a look at this defense, and then to do what he was able to do tonight, which was a career-defining best win of his entire run in the NFL.
I'll put it to you guys this way. If I were to say to you after this game that the Seattle Seahawks allowed 6 times the amount of explosive plays against the Rams that they did in their prior meetings, and the Seahawks passed at like almost a 2-to-1 ratio, so whatever, 60-40 pass to run ratio in this game, you would say that this was probably a disaster scenario for Sam Darnold, right? They weren't able to run the ball. Their defense was giving up a ton of explosive plays, but the pass game was working for them. And this was a Darnold-led victory, which is why I was surprised at all the hand-wringing over like the one bad pass that he threw in this game to Rashid Shaheed, where he put a little bit too much air under it. Every other ball was like a missile from him, and this guy had an oblique injury like 6 days ago.
Yeah, he got taken off the injury report a couple of days ago, and surely he looked, completely locked in this game. And I mentioned Kubiak off the top. I can't give that guy enough credit for having such a great feel. First of all, having a great kind of scheme in the first place and a great attack, but also having a great feel for this game, knowing he had his. It's like in baseball when your ace has his best stuff and you see it. So it's like, okay, we know we're in good heads. He knew his quarterback had his best stuff today. So it emboldened him. And he really shocked, for instance, Tom Brady on the last possession, the one that put the game away, essentially, throwing the ball and drawing the defensive holding call. They threw the ball twice in how many times have we seen coaches turtle up in that spot, run the ball 3 times, punt it away, and then ask your defense to win you the game and the NFC title when all other evidence points to maybe we shouldn't trust our defense to do that? He was smart, and you give McDonald's credit. He empowered his offense coordinator to empower his quarterback, and that allowed them to essentially run the clock out. And by the time the Rams got the ball back, there were only 25 seconds left, no timeouts, and the game was essentially over. And I want to talk about the previous possession to that final fruitless 25 seconds for the Rams, because that really was the deciding moment in the game. To the Rams' credit, they fought all through this game. It felt like, I think we all thought Seattle was the better team at this stage of the season, but it felt like the Rams just were going to somehow. I thought they were going to steal it in the end. That's how it felt in the second half, just because they were showing so much fight. And they had a 4th and 4 at the Seattle 6-yard line. This is about midway through the fourth quarter. Coach Sean McVay decided to go for it. And Matthew Stafford, after he was third down pass got broken up, the 4th down pass is broken up in the back of the end zone by Devin Witherspoon. And by the time they got the ball back, because of the aggressive play calling and the execution by the offense, at the end of the fourth quarter, the game was over. So my first question there, do you agree with going for it on 4th down? And does it surprise you guys that Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua were not the targeted receiver on either of those last 2 plays of the game? Because I will tell you who was targeted. And listen, none of this is in a vacuum. Obviously, these weren't the maybe number 1 intended targets, but with the season on the line, it was Terrence Ferguson on 3rd down and Kanata Mumpfield on 4th down, and they were unable to make the play.
Well, I agree with the fact that is about as far from ideal as East is from West in that particular situation. And we talked a little bit over text about going for it. It's this NFL. Yes, I go for it. I think, Dan, you kind of mentioned that maybe if you knock in the field goal these teams are running up and down the field, you get a chance to win it with a field goal. And I think that's like not crazy thinking, but I have no problem with, like, they hammer home on this broadcast that McVay was amped up from like Wednesday on, like super through the roof amped up. And so I don't know if that version of McVay on the road in this situation where you have the chance to take them by the neck, that you kick a field goal. I think it would be a hard conversation piece if they didn't get the ball back the way that they would want to.
You know, it's one of those things where there are games when a quarterback, you can just see it. He's overthrowing wide receivers. He's skittish. That can be true of play calling coaches too, of coordinators or of head coaches. And McVay, if you noticed in that 4th down, he almost ran down the sidelines and called a timeout because he didn't like the call that he had. And then he ended up swallowing that and sticking with it. And then shortly after that, completely melted down and burned another timeout for absolutely no reason. And I think that McVay, oddly, and this happens to everybody. It happens to anyone who does any kind of work. Sometimes you just get in over your skis a little bit. I think McVay was the one that kind of had the problem in this game. He just seemed to kind of lose concept of the flow, especially late in this one.
Yeah, and yet I don't disagree with that. You could tell he was turned up in this game, but these things many times come down to just execution not being there. A great play call. On 3rd and short. This is on the same drive that ended with the 4th down incompletion in the end zone. Colby Parkinson, we were texting about it, Gravy, that at one point in the third quarter, about midway through the game, it was pretty clear that McVay had figured out the Seahawks defense, and they had them on skates and had them totally off balance. And there's a third and short where Colby Parkinson has a walk-in touchdown. If he makes the catch, he drops it. And that led to, I believe that was the heroic Stafford scramble for 2 yards to keep the drive alive after that drop by Parkinson. But again, the execution was not there. The execution on special teams for the Rams, which had obviously killed them all year. They muff a punt in this game that immediately leads to a Seattle touchdown. And it against a Seahawks team like this, Mark, I think that was the difference in this game. Seattle has been playing at such a high level all season, but especially in January, that the Rams made one too many mistakes that you just couldn't overcome in the end. Yeah,
we talked with Baldy on Thursday about like the third encounter between two hated foes, right? That what does it look like? What does it embody? What's different? I mean, there was really no way to look at this game after the Week 16 matchup other than to say if you're going to give away two possessions, which is that fourth down attempt and Devin Witherspoon knocks down the final two passes, and Stafford on that possession is playing with his hair on fire. It's like they're going for it, and it didn't work out. And the punt return gaff gave the Seahawks complete new life and like really made the lead look like it might get insurmountable at some point. And the problem is that the last time they played, Rashid Shaheed ran a kickback for a touchdown. And it's like that was a big difference in that game. And it gives the Rams something not only to chew on, but probably to obsess over going into next season, because it has been multiple games. I can think of a blocked punt that was critical one time that just the Rams, this is not what the Rams look like on other sides of on either side of the ball.
And we mentioned that every team kind of had a fatal flaw going into this one, and the Rams was always the secondary, and it was always the way that their cornerbacks are playing, and if they could get beat up by more experienced, more physical wide receivers, whatever it was, and down the stretch that folded on them too, right? And I thought Brady did a great job pointing out the fact that like these guys are fast enough to hang with Cooper Kupp. You don't have to hold him in big spots, but they were doing that. And that just showed, I think, to our central point of this, just like a skittishness, a fear, or whatever it is, like an anxiety about this game that really sort of permeated underneath all of it.
We should talk about the Riq Woolen sequence, because that you want to talk about giving a team new life. It felt like Seattle was about to take total control of this game late in the third quarter. I believe it was 31-20. And they have a Riq Woolen nearly intercepts a Stafford pass on third down. It's 4th and 12. Seahawks are about to get the ball back up 11. Their offense humming. And then Riq Woolen does some talking and chirping toward the Rams sideline. You see an official say, kind of try to send him away, but Riq Woolen doesn't immediately go away. They throw a flag on 4th and 12 in the NFC Championship game for taunting to give the Rams a first down, which is crazy. You're affecting the outcome of the game over taunting at the side. These are competitors at the top of their craft in the NFC Championship game. And then to compound matters, and I'm not letting Riq Woolen off the hook entirely. He probably should have kept his wits about him a little bit more, but still, it's a competitive sport at the highest level, and these guys are playing in front of 80,000 people and 80 million people watching at home. This is not normal human stuff. The next play then, Puka beats Woolen for the touchdown to make it a 4-point game again. And Connor, we're in agreement. I think a lot of people are in agreement that the referees have to understand the moment there, but that really bailed out the Rams. And if the Seahawks would have gotten beat, that would have been something that would have stuck in the craw of Seattle fans for the rest of eternity.
Riq Woolen moves to Canada.
It was a great job by McVay going right back at Woolen on the play after that, and a great job of understanding that he might be just not 100%. But the problem with all the way that the NFL officiating rulebook is set up is that the brokenness is a feature for the league, and they can pick any single moment or any single inference to make the game 10 times more interesting than it would have been otherwise. And I think it's a joke. I don't think you can call taunting in that situation. You want these players to be amped up and at the height of their energy and excitement and skill, and then you're going to also use that against them to penalize them when you feel like it. I mean, I think that's incredibly stupid. But the Super Bowl, they tend to swallow their whistle a little bit more, so I'm hoping that's the case, and we don't have one more absolutely idiotic game-altering taunting penalty or spitting or any of that stuff that's been happening this year, and, we can move on.
It reminded me that sequence, because he kind of hit for the cycle, Riq Woolen there, in terms of things you don't want to happen or you don't want to incur. And I know it was real, like, they were scuffling the two teams like all day long. But I once had a temp job where I got fired from when I lived in Denver, and then on the way home I got into a car accident, and I was like, what's the third thing that's going to happen here?
Nice 1-2 punch, yeah. What are you playing the Patriots next week? A little shout out to Puka Nacua, by the way. That one weird week, notwithstanding, when his brother stole a Lakers car and then he hung out with a bunch of streamers that were racist or something. That one week, notwithstanding, one of the best years by a wide receiver I can remember. And I'll put Cooper Kupp in that class when he took the Rams to the Super Bowl a few years back. Odell Beckham, his rookie year and really the beginning of his career, peak Randy Moss. That's the kind of class that I think Nacua is in right now at a very young age. The Rams are going to have to, figure out how they can balance the books. But you got to pay that guy because he is a one-of-one dude. We don't know how much Devontae Adams has left. We don't even know if Matthew Stafford's coming back next year. I would assume he is. There's a very good chance he wins MVP. But it's got to sting for the Rams when you think about how the end of the season played out that led to them having to win 3 games on it's so hard to win 3 in a row on the road to get to a Super Bowl. And in the end, they fell just a little short. So, Mark, I would put – we had talked about the NFC West and how good the NFC West this year was. I would put this Rams team on a fairly short list in the last decade, last 20 years of the best teams not to make the Super Bowl. So that has to be a very frustrating loss for them, but they played obviously a great team, the Seahawks.
Yeah, it kind of harks back to that Green Bay, Seattle NFC title game where whoever came out of that without the win, you're feeling for them as a sports fan. It was a proud event to have Matthew Stafford, especially on that 4th and 1 scamper where he just uses his body to make sure that the Rams don't go down. To have him play at an MVP level, to play the way that he did, to see how well he fits with these wide receivers. And this was a kind of game where you could point to a lot of breakdowns by both teams. But when the offense for both sides is this glowing, that's what we came here for. And I think right now, you're right, there are a lot of questions about certain players, how you finance this. They've got multiple number 1 picks. A lot could change. But this right now, as it stands, I think is the best active rivalry in the NFL right now, based on where other teams have sort of floated to in the AFC North and et cetera, et cetera.
I could think of one other rivalry. It would probably be the locks rivalry between Hanzus and Sessler. And this year it's going to Hanzus because I locked up the Rams, baby. Oh, baby.
Well,
on a lock-off, Sessy, the Seahawks. That clinches the title for me, and everybody out there that was rooting for the underdog, deal with it. Because I took home the chip.
I think it mirrors the fact that many do not feel that next week's game or 2 weeks from now is the matchup equal to this one. So I'm glad it got decided here. I do not regret on any level taking the Rams. They brought this to the brink. It would have felt cheap picking the Patriots to me. So I went with my heart. And now, as often happens, paid the price. Congratulations, Dan. We are all...
Congratulations, Dan.
You're a good
and
sport.
I didn't get last place, which felt impossible 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for popping
and
in for
Connor,
that,
we'll
Justin.
get to
Yeah.
you, Connor. Oh my
Well-
goodness. But 13-8, Sessler 11-10, Gravy 9-12, Connor 8-13. Are you kidding me? And maybe maybe we'll talk a little more about this at the end of the show. But yes, I locked up the Seahawks. It got a little tricky, a little squirrely there for a while, but it was a fun game to watch, and perhaps fitting that it was Darnold that takes me home to the title, because I always hoped and dreamed Sam Darnold would take the Jets to the title. And now here he is. He's going to vanquish the Patriots in the Super Bowl potentially, but for somebody else's team. That deeply sucks. But I want to just say again, Darnold, his comeback story is incredible from where he was. And I know the Darnold Hive's a little more crowded these days, but for years, everyone just laughed this guy off, and they just said, another Jets QB bust, when he always profiled differently if you were paying attention to the guy. And now for him to have this moment, here's Sam Darnold on the field after clinching a trip to the Super Bowl.
What does the moment mean you're going to the Super Bowl?
It's amazing. To be able to do it with these guys, though, in this locker room, with this coaching staff, that's why it means the world to me.
I'm happy for him. He's not the most thrilling quote.
I don't need him to be JFK.
He's a good man.
Like, he's not.
He's a good man, and I think back to, I remember his first game ever in the pros after he was picked 3rd overall, right after Saquon Barkley. Baker went 1, Saquon went 2, Sam Darnold went 3, which is now, looking back on it all these years later, is a very interesting 1, 2, 3. Good trivia out there for the chat. Who went number 4 in that draft? I don't remember that, but anyway. His first game was against the Detroit Lions, and the first throw of his career was a pick 6. But they ended up winning that game, and there was this moment that Rich Cimini, the beat reporter for ESPN, captured outside the locker room of Darnold hugging his family, and was like, here's this great moment for Sam Darnold after his first pro game, a win. And then almost immediately his career just tanked. And now to go all the way down. I remember our old show being told that Sam Darnold was the biggest bust in NFL history. Like, that type of shit that Darnold was getting lumped into that conversation. So this is a comeback story for the ages, and now we see if he can complete it. And it is, Connor, I don't know if you were covering Darnold back then or on that beat at that time, but it is another juicy subplot that his opponent in the Super Bowl was his low moment of his early career, his seeing ghost game against the Patriots. Belichick is long gone, but the Patriots are still there.
I think it's a lesson, too, in hubris. It's a lesson in being a prisoner of the moment, because I forget who brought it up earlier, but the Vikings aspect to this too. It's not just the Jets, right? The Vikings maybe had more skin in this than anybody and thought that they were so able to handle the quarterback position that they could get rid of a guy who played at MVP level for a majority of last season. And the only reason he fell apart, in air quotes, is because the interior of your offensive line collapsed against 2 really good defenses. And I think that it's just this ultimate lesson for teams out there about developing the position, about seeing things through a factual lens and not allowing your feelings and certain big game moments to move you. And hopefully that gets teams more on the right path for developing these guys.
I mean, the problem is that, like, Darnold is the case in point. First of all, like, Jamarcus Russell's like, I'm not the biggest bust. Sam Darnold is. I'm not buying that one. But, like, you go number 1 through 5 in the draft to a team that is completely incapable of supporting you as a quarterback, especially in a city like New York or fill in the blank. And, like, then the quarterback or the coach regime changes like 3 times over the next 4 years. And we're like, oh, it's Sam Darnold is a bust. Well, the bust is everything around Sam Darnold. He hasn't really gotten a chance to play. And so this is even a game announced by, am I wrong? Didn't Tom Brady chose Geno Smith over a very gettable Sam Darnold had he wanted to? And, like, he's announcing this game and having to acknowledge that he's playing like a king today, that he's playing at the highest possible level we've ever seen at the biggest moment. And he kept drawing parallels to himself, Tom Brady, which is not a surprise. But, like, it just all happened at the right time with the right team, and it's not over yet.
All right. That is one half of the Super Bowl, the Seattle Seahawks. So we're going to take a break. When we get back, we talk about the AFC Championship game and how the Patriots got to where they are. Stay right there.
Super Bowl 60. Will be the stuff of legend.
Oh my goodness. In case you haven't been plugged in on what's going on over on the Patreon and what's going to happen on our Super Bowl Sunday night show, Justin Graver, our producer, who also fashions himself a rapper, is going to give us a Nate Burleson-like season in review recap rap Super Bowl Sunday night, our own version of the halftime show. I mean, that's a little bit of a tease. Mark, I could tell you're pinching yourself. You're so excited about it.
I mean, I'm beside myself. Whatever it takes to be one of the first people to observe it. How many takes, Justin, of that? I thought you looked pretty cool at the end, exhaling the smoke in the black and white. Very noirish. How many takes? Was that just a one take and we're good? Because that's who you are?
You know, shout out to my lovely fiance, Jessica, who shot and directed that little spot. Not very many takes. You know, we did one main and I think one for safety, and that was all it took. Yeah, she did an amazing job directing it, shooting it, framing it up. I edited
Connor,
it.
is it possible, Connor, that we're opening the door for an issue for our show that Justin is too good at rapping on Super Bowl Sunday, and he gets a record deal, and we end up losing our producer by giving him a platform for his considerable MC skills?
I think that Justin power plays are various, and I think that if we try to stomp one down, it's like whack-a-mole. Another one pops up, and so his thirst for fame and to eventually not only take over this show, but the entertainment industry is such that we really can't slow it down, and so it's just important that we enjoy it along the way.
I'm going classic, cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm not overly worried.
Justin, did this shoot go better than when we had to get Sessler into your apartment last year to do a photo shoot for the new show? That one had some pitfalls with Sessler.
Well, Mark had just gotten his haircut, and I think we all kind of feel this way, but Mark definitely one of those people who's like, I need it to grow out for a couple weeks before it gets to its ideal state. So
yeah, it was a very
that
clear.
was a tough one.
It's a very clear request. Instead, it was like, it's one of the hottest days in August. Let's drag you down and take a photo of you when you look like about a 4 out of 10. Maybe I can only get to 5 out of 10, but like that was definitely more in like 3.5 to 4 range during that. So
I would love if we had the footage to do like a full-on documentary about the lead up to the first Heed the Call photo shoot and then the aftermath. I would absolutely get that on a streamer. But that's beside the point. Legend will perform on our Super Bowl Sunday night program 2 weeks from tonight. And another offshoot, Mark, that I just got concerned about. Justin's going to take this so seriously, it's going to absolutely undermine his production of our Super Bowl episode. I just thought about this in real time.
Yeah, it's going to affect the enjoyment of thousands upon thousands of human beings that have given their time to the show. But that's great. We set this up as a little frolic party. We have a nice little time and go for it.
Classic frolic party.
At the Frolic Room right across from Sessler's apartment, eh?
Okay. Not across. How about we don't dox me in the middle of a live show? I do not live across from that.
Mark has to move now.
Justin, don't you know we have 41 female listeners? Easy there, buddy. All right. Without further ado, the AFC Championship. As much as I would prefer not to cover the AFC Championship game for numerous reasons, we are professionals, and so we must cover this game 2 mile high.
3rd and 7 with a 10-7 lead from New England's 39-yard line. Out of the eye. Fake by May. He's going to run it to the left. He's being chased. Tries to get outside. He does! He's got the first down! Running to the far side. Outlegging the chasing defender, Jonah Ellis. And Drake May and the Patriots fake the handoff to Stevenson, the quarterback. The naked bootleg out to the left has a first down that should allow the Patriots to clinch it.
And it did. Bob Sochi, the human sentient Powerade bottle, Scott Zolak with the call WBZ in Boston. Yes, the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl, whether you want them to be or not. They get it done in a game that started in perfectly crisp, cold but clear conditions, and then quickly, and I don't remember ever watching a game like this. I remember being a wee boy way back in '88 when the Fog Bowl, the playoff game between, I believe, the Eagles, was it? And
Bears
the
and Eagles.
Bears.
Yeah.
And that game, what happened in that game is fog settled over Soldier Field and it created all sorts of chaos. That's obviously a different situation. But this was similar, where it went, and they did a great job on the CBS telecast, showing at the beginning of the third quarter, all green. By the end of the third quarter, nobody could see anything because essentially a blizzard with the winds as well came in, and that turned this game into a defensive struggle or an offensive struggle, and it is the Patriots who take advantage of a Jarrett Stidham turnover to create their only touchdown. They get a field goal before the conditions really deteriorated, and that was enough to secure a 10-7 win on the road, and the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl. Connor, you were there. Take me through it. As someone who, what was that, Mark?
What was it like? I mean,
Yeah,
I've
like
lived
that-
in Denver, but it's like this was different.
And you've covered hundreds of games, Connor. Was this one truly unique?
Oh my God. I had a moment where I legitimately slammed my laptop down because it's like, oh, let me just, in the best possible way, because it's, you're just like, oh, let me tweet about how smart I am and say that the Patriots are in too high coverage. And I was like, stop and just watch what's happening right now. And I'll just set the scene for a minute. Everything outside the stadium was gray. You could not see the buildings next to Mile High Stadium at all. Like it was like we were in our own little space bubble. Wow. And the vortex of the snow was coming with like such force, so it was going from like south to north, that as soon as it happened, I turned to everybody else and I was like, oh my God, the team that's going back the other direction is not going to be able to function offensively for the rest of the game. It got so bad so fast, and this is what I loved about this game. It was one of my favorite games that I've covered in person, and I mean that. It got so bad so fast that every play call went out the window. All the strategy went out the window, and the Patriots in the third quarter had all the pressure in the world to score because they had the snow at their back, and then all the pressure in the fourth quarter because Denver then had the wind at their back and the snow at their back. It changed everything. The aesthetic was beautiful. There's this one moment where they played the chorus to Bohemian Rhapsody, and the whole stadium is physically shaking. The snowblower people are out, and I'm just thinking, like, what the this is awesome. Like, it's just, this is why we do what we do. I got very I don't know, like emotional about it.
I love that.
Yeah, I think you're right that the Fog Bowl, which was, I'm got a few years on you, as you like to point out, but like I watched that in rapt attention because you just don't see anything like that. Like the closest we'd ever get is like when you're playing Madden, you can make it a snow game just to have fun in your living room. But like there aren't that many. There are a couple rain ones where like no one has any footing, but snow games don't tend to be that impossible to deal with if there's not a lot of wind. This looked insane. And you said it perfectly about needing to use your quarter with the wind at your back, like as your only way to move the ball. And I thought it added so much to the biggest decision in the game before the weather completely took over, which was Sean Payton's decision to go for it instead of kicking a field goal to go up 10-0 with 9:22 in the second quarter. And he said, we thought we were vibing.
We have that.
Let's play that then.
Yeah. There's always regrets, Yeah, I mean, look, I felt like, here we are 4th and 1. We felt close enough that, and it's also a call you make based on the team you're playing and how what you're watching on the other side of the ball. So yeah, there'll always be second thoughts.
He's dying, Connor. He's dying.
A couple things here. Yeah. One last note on the weather real quick, because I asked Keishon Boutte after the game. I was like, I don't think any forecast showed like a bomb cyclone of snow was about to hit. I was like, did you guys have any indication that the weather was going to be like that? And he goes, I don't know. We don't look at that shit. We're warriors. We just go out and play. And I was like, all right, cool. I just thought like maybe you guys talked about the weather. But what was interesting about Peyton in that 4th down call in particular is he mentioned after the game that there was a stoppage in play that changed his play call. But I went back and I looked, and it was his own stoppage in play. So the Patriots had a call. They thought that the Broncos had a call. They thought the Patriots were going to come out in nickel, and they were just going to run the ball, right? And it was going to be an easy first down to pick up. But then Peyton called a timeout. And so when he called a timeout, the Patriots came back in a 6-man front, like a 6-1 defense. And so they're like, oh, shit, we have to change our play call to like a play pass. And the Patriots were ready for it. And I was thinking about it. There were 2 or 3 moments in this game where the Patriots defense absolutely erupted frantically because they knew exactly what was coming. Like the animation was like the ball is going right there. And I think they picked up on some of Peyton's tendencies. He said that was a gotta have it play for them all year. And they just kind of knew where they had to be. Offensively, he was in a bad spot in this game. Josh McDaniels had the creative flea flicker play call that saved New England, and Peyton never had that counterpunch. And you could say it's because Jared Stidham, but there were moments where he was playing well enough, and he's certainly a good enough quarterback to be able to move the football.
I have what I guess would qualify as a hot take. I thought Sean Payton took entirely too much shit for his decision making there, because hindsight being 2020, obviously, with a blizzard rolling in, you're going to take the points there. But again, this was a game where at halftime, when they come out of the tunnel at halftime, there's no blizzard. It's cold. I'm sure it was blustery too, Connor, as I understand. I mean,
yeah.
But here's the thing. This, again, is a offensive mastermind in Sean Payton who believes in his playbook. He believes in his scheme. He believes in his offense's ability to get that yard. 2 possessions before, they had scored a touchdown to go up 7-0 on a 58-yard drive, I believe it was. And now here they were with an opportunity to go up 14-0. And if they call better play or execute better in that situation and they go up 14-0, that game is over because no one's going to score 15 points once that weather does roll in. So I thought it was a little bit, and I don't like to say this because I think we all agree, like, Sean Payton having to eat shit is not the worst thing in the world. But I think sometimes that colors some of the analysis around certain figures in the league, and it's easy to dunk on him. I think being aggressive there was not a foolish call. It only looks foolish because it failed, and then a blizzard hit.
I think also, like, and Connor, you can tell us what you saw from where you were sitting there, but, like, to me, it's that our expectation is that in that situation, Sean Payton is going to draw up a play that looks like it was well executed. And the whole thing just fell to pieces, and it looked like malarkey. But I don't have a problem. We can't say McVay should go for it, but Sean Payton, in a game where, like, the weather's getting worse and worse, like, if you could have taken the life out of the Patriots by scoring a touchdown there, no one's having this conversation right now. It just didn't look good.
Here's why I'll push back, because Payton said he made the call based on what he was seeing on the other side, basically not throwing the Patriots offense under the bus, but saying they were unable to move the football at all. And so I'm basically trying to put the dagger in the heart. My argument there, and I granted it's minutia, but he also had some weird coaching decisions later in this game that I also think impacted it, and we could talk about that. But if you watch the way that this game unfolded and kind of felt the momentum in the stadium, even if you went up 10-0, you would have had Drake May in passing situations on nearly every down going into the half from there on out, and you would have murdered him because that Patriots offensive line wasn't stopping anybody. The Broncos had a beat on them early, and all you need is to force the Patriots into an every down pass situation, which they would have if you went up 10-0 in that situation and you passed it up. But again, that's Payton being Payton and thinking that he has the best play call, and who can blame him for
why do we think that they have to go into a passing down situation every play on 10-0? I mean, maybe 21-0, I see. That's 17-0 maybe. But that's
because
still,
of the way that
defense
defense plays and the way that your running game was completely stymied in the first set. Like, there was no semblance of a running game until like midway through the third quarter there. And I think the Patriots were very close. Like, it was getting dark early in that game. It was surprising to me how dominant Denver was.
I mean, you look at the box score, and this, again, it doesn't feel right defending Sean Payton. I love that he had to deal with it.
You're backed into a tough corner here. It's Patriots.
No, like, I just think I think it's important that someone like offers the counter take that maybe it was a bad play call and poor execution more than a bad decision, but that gets lost to the sands of time, and not everybody has to agree. That's fine. But what you're right about is Drake May finishes the game. He throws for 86 yards in this game on 21 attempts, completing less than half of his passes. To his credit, the turnover issues that have been an issue for May in the postseason were not an issue in this game. He ran the ball effectively. He had the QB draw on the one touchdown that New England scored. He iced the game, as we heard, with that scramble. So those were heady plays and showed what May can do in all aspects of his game. But yeah, like, Denver's defense was awesome in this game. So you can absolutely, I get it. You could say go up 2 scores and then see if you could turn this game over to your defense. I get that. Let's talk about the biggest. There were 2 huge calls, and I'm not going to come on here. I'm always going to be upfront with the audience that I'm never going to root for the Patriots to be back in the Super Bowl. I'm not thrilled about it. And I know it's going to sound like sour grapes, but I truly think they're having a blessed carpet ride of a season. Everything seems to go their way. There are 2 huge plays in this game that accounted, I believe, for all 10 of the Patriots' points in this game. First, it was the Stidham throw late in the second quarter deep in his own end where he's facing a pass rush. His feet got happier and happier as this game went along, Stidham.
It got worse, right?
And he goes to push the ball away, and the officials totally botch it, as the officials must do every single week, blowing the play dead, initially ruling it incomplete, then overturning it to a fumble recovered by the Patriots. But then New England, even though they took it into the end zone, can't get credited for the touchdown because some ass blew the whistle on the field. Here is, I think we have some sound here from Jarrett Stidham on that play that gave the Patriots a very short field and led to their first touchdown.
No, I thought I'd thrown it forwards, and then obviously the replay or whatever said differently. So, yeah, like I said, just probably should have just eaten the sack anyway, and let Jeremy and the punt team punt it down the field and flip the field. But like I said, I can't do that.
I got Terry McAuley here on a tweet. It's a little wordy, but I think just to add the layering to this, the Denver and Terry McAuley, if you don't know, football rules analyst, but he's a longtime official, worked with the NFL in different capacities. The Denver forward-backward pass in the first half was extremely complex and needs clarification. It was initially ruled an incomplete forward pass with the whistle blown before New England picked up the football. Based on the announcement, they changed the ruling to backward pass on the field. But by doing that, it creates an erroneous whistle, which would require the down to be replayed, and New England cannot get the ball. Had they stayed with the initial ruling, replay could review, and New England would have been awarded the ball after review because erroneous whistle rules would not apply. Ultimately, the result was correct, that it was a backwards attempt by Stidham that was recovered, but the process to get there was not. So they actually blew the call, because once the whistle is blown in that situation, you have to replay the down. I don't think we would have been thrilled with that either, but again, more messiness from game officials.
It is, I guess from a football god's angle, if you were going to be a freaking out Patriots fan over that series of events, they scored 2 plays later or whatever it was and punched in it. So the score remained the same, but you can't get out of one of these games with a head-scratching conversation piece that all of us are diving into tweets from Terry McAuley, writing a Russian novel about something that still makes no more sense to me than it did before. I mean, it's you can twist these things verbally in so many different ways that it can be 4 different things at the same time. And you don't need that in the playoffs, and you're going to get it, though.
And then the other play was 4th and short. Again, the Patriots knocking on the door in Denver territory. May lines up for a QB sneak. They rule it a first down. It was very close. They have an overhead view where it really looks like he doesn't have the first down. Peyton uses one of his challenges and gets burned because they rule that also as New England's way, and they say that he did get it. Again, they don't like to change those type of spot calls, but I just think going back to the magic carpet ride of it all, it just feels like everything is bouncing the Pats' way. And yeah, I'm a little bitter about it, but also let's just point out that both of those plays could have went either way, and they both went against Denver, and that has to smart.
So here's where I'll push back a little bit. Again, my biases well on the table. Everyone understands where I'm coming from here a little bit too, but their replay, the Broncos coaching staff that has control over, piping down to Sean Payton and telling him whether to challenge this call or not, has the same access to stuff that we have in the press box, which is like a TV copy of the play. And we're watching it from the press box. It looks like he didn't get it at all. But immediately you see the TV replay and a couple things. There's players on all sides of Drake May. Ramondre Stevenson was supposed to push him on that play, but instead he just sort of fell on him like an older brother, on accident. And by doing so, he obscures any possible, which is actually kind of brilliant if he did it on purpose, but obscures any camera angle there, because there's no way that you have clear evidence to go against the call that was made on the field. And so I feel like that was an emotional call. It was an emotional challenge, and you cost yourself a timeout in a big spot, and then you end up getting the ball back at the end of the game down one more timeout.
No, I disagree. You got to challenge that. That's a huge play.
I would agree with that too.
It's a turnover. If they stop him, it's a turnover. It stays 7-7. They keep him out of the end zone. The Patriots kick a field goal, if I'm not mistaken, and that ends up being the difference. I'm watching the play right now, actually, and I'm seeing what just as you said it is right. Stevenson falls on top of May, so even in the overhead shot, you can't see May in the ball, but you can see where the first down marker is, and it looks like he was short.
I don't think he got it. I'm being 100% honest. I don't think he got it. I thought it was a bad push-off. I thought it was a bad design. I thought everything. Like, it was like a broken-ass tush-push kind of play. But I just think anybody in that booth that's looking at what I'm looking at, that's looking at what you're looking at, has got to pipe down to Sean Payton and say, there's a 0% chance we win this challenge. Where is there clear evidence that's going to overturn the call on the field? We're wasting a timeout in a game where they're going to matter.
0? I would say maybe it was closer to 30 to 40, 5? And then you roll. I mean, this is all arbitrary. But one thing I don't want to have happen here, though, because I could already see what's going on in the chat. Like, listen, shut up. Listen, good job, Patriots. That's it. They've done a great job all season overcoming all challenges. There's another play in this game that I have to give New England so much credit for, even though it didn't lead to anything. Late in the first half, they're trying to get into field goal range, and it leads to a miss from 63. But Drake May scrambles. He's scrambling. He happens to be heading right towards his own sideline. He slides down, and as he's sliding down, as he must, because he's got to slide down before the clock runs out with 1 second left, as his knees and his ass is hitting the turf, Vrabel's right on top of the ref going, timeout.
Yep.
And they give it to the Patriots. And I keep thinking to myself, every week I watch these games, and I'm like, and by the way, Justin, I can't believe this guy got out of your building. This team is so beautifully coached. This team is so battle-tested and ready for this playoff moment because everything they do, they are prepared for all scenarios. And we could dunk on Bill Belichick, and he's earned that by the way he's acted late in his career, banging up his NFL legacy and now doing whatever's happening now down in UNC. But like, you have to give him some credit too for helping to birth this Mike Vrabel character who with his staff has this Patriots team ready for any situation. And they're the type of team that just give me these variables. It's going to be a low scoring game. There's snow coming in. It's going to be a situation where one play makes the difference. Who are you taking? It was like, is it Mike Vrabel's team one of those teams? Yes, I'll take Mike Vrabel's Patriots team. And if they can get into one of those games in 2 weeks, they can win this whole goddamn thing.
It's a lesson, though. It's a lesson that when he was hired, right? Because it's like we'd been down Mike Vrabel Avenue before, that it's like, oh, it's the Patriots. He's a bit of a meathead. Like, we'll see if this works. Instead, because I don't think he was, I know you were saying, I know what you mean when you say he was burged by Bill Belichick. Like, he spent years and years developing his own outlook and philosophy. And they posted some stuff today that are his like mantras with this New England roster that's very similar to the roster from a year ago. And it's not all Belichickian annoyances that feel from like 1991. It's different. And like, he is the guy that every one of these games, he is out there hugging and saying thank you to every single person on the set. They're just a unified team, and they've given up 26 points in the playoffs. I get that. We all get that it's not been the roughest schedule, but they're 17-3 and going to the Super Bowl. And it's like the first Patriots team under Belichick that went to the Super Bowl. They spent the whole offseason after that saying, we got to tear this down and redo it from the studs and build this team the way that we want. Just because we won that doesn't mean anything. I think this Patriots team is just at the beginning of what's to come, and they're overshooting a little bit in terms of no one thought they'd be here, but they're not a fugazi operation. They just haven't had to play the schedule that some other teams have, which I think is a fair critique.
Yeah, and we all three of us picked the Broncos to win this game, including Connor, which we knew was the
We're
kiss
the
of
losers.
Death.
Okay, let's get
we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But
all right.
Let's just now. Even though I asked you directly on Thursday, is this a reverse jinx? You said no, but I'm sure you're going to change your tune now after the fact. But I just want to say the Vrabel side of things, like, what I kind of mean by that is I know he's his own man and he's built this his own way, and he was in Tennessee a long time away from Belichick. I just mean, like, one of the things that was so impressive about the old Belichick Patriots teams is this same trait, that they always seem ready and prepared and more prepared than their opponent. Here's Mike Vrabel on the field after the Patriots clinched.
How does that feel? It feels good. It feels great. But Warriors!
You've experienced what it's like to be at a Super Bowl and win Super Bowls, and now you get to go to Santa Clara, and you have a chance to be the first person ever to both win a Super Bowl as a player and as a coach for the same franchise, which would be incredible. How about that?
I won't win it. It'll be the players that'll win the game. I promise you. It won't be me that'll win it, and I promise you I'll do everything that I can and our staff to have them ready for the game.
That's what he does. He defers. And he's so much more. And again, this is such a different Patriots team. Like, Drake May is a very, like, aw shucks, nice kid that's, like, easy to root for. Vrabel is a guy that you could root for. This team, with the exception of Stephon Diggs, is very easy to root for. Mac Hollins, who started this Warriors thing, which you're going to hear a lot for the next 2 weeks. They're fun. They are on a blessed ride, but they also are not a hateable team like the old Patriots teams.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I think we've got to, like, view them through different eyes, the same way that some of these Rams and Seahawks teams are different from the past. And it's like that is a ship sailed, but there are resemblances. You're right. Maybe this is why it conjured up almost I want to call it like a deeply, I was trying to be ingrained with my own internal world when you asked me a question a number of weeks back. Gravy, hit it.
Mark,
yeah.
The first thing that comes to your mind, don't think, just react.
Trevor Lawrence.
Who wins the Super Bowl?
Patriots.
You picked against them this week.
Well, I mean,
what do you want? You want us to throw you a parade?
No, because it's like,
get off the fence, Sessler.
Let's say if I have a premonition that like something terrible is going to happen, which I don't view this as that, but like it doesn't mean that I'm rooting for it and I'm going to go to the desert about it. Like, I kind of forgot I did that too.
Just stick with the pick. You had it.
Well, I should have locked them up too. I mean, it's a disaster for me.
I know. I appreciate your showing the charisma to dig that up, but I wish you would have picked him this week.
The charisma. What a
the
backhanded
gamesmanship. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on this game, Connor? I want to hear you out after the break on your decision making and this all-time slump that you're in terms of game picks. But any other thoughts on this game moving forward? It is. I'm sure Bo Nix was tearing. He doesn't have a lot of hair, but tearing it out watching this game as well. By the way, it had to be tough.
So I have a couple like just staccato observances. Bo Nix, I was in the elevator bank with him watching the final minutes of that game, and it was tough, man. Just seeing him on like the scooter and everything. He had like the cast on his leg. It was tough. He was really beat up about it. In the Patriots locker room, all of a sudden, you just see Mike Vrabel zooming past everybody with a crushed Miller Lite can in his hand. And I was just like, is that not the most everyman moment of this? And then one of the Patriots starting offensive linemen taking spare Miller Lights around and just stuffing them into his hand warmer so he could carry more of them around. And I was like, this team I'm totally in love with them. And two more quick notes here. Drake May, that bootleg at the end of the game, it was a called run play, and he didn't tell anyone that he was doing it so that they would block it as convincingly as humanly possible. And then he just, like amazing. A baller, yanked the ball out from Ramondre Stevenson and ran the ball for a first down. No one knew he was going to do it. And I would say one last thing, Dan, not to kick the dead horse on Peyton, but you can't have 7 rushing attempts in the second half of that game when Robert Spillane is out. You had 17 attempts in the first half, 24 for the game. You had a 45% rushing success rate in the first half. You cannot abandon the run like that. You forced Jared Stidham to throw in the snow way too much.
That's what's so surprising about how that thing played out. I will say on the Drake May front, conversely to what happened with Denver on the ground, Drake May running the ball at one point or for a big chunk of time was the most and only effective thing happening for either offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like his box score looks ridiculous, but people looking at that 8 years from now are not going to know why. It's just like you were in a terrible environment, and he used the one thing that was available, which was to pound through people, convert first downs, run to the outskirts of the field, and do things that make him in that MVP conversation. He didn't look like Matthew Stafford today, that's for sure, but it was a different world.
Yeah, I think Stafford was a better quarterback this season. But May, to your point, like the Patriots might be a team that in a different way, if things don't fall just a certain way, aren't in the Super Bowl. But being ahead of the game and maybe even getting to the Super Bowl is such a huge achievement. It sets them up for their future, like you're saying, Mark. And by the way, that first Tom Brady Patriots team was also another team that came in ahead of schedule, shocked the world on Super Bowl Sunday against the Rams, and then we're off and running. You get it. And I want to say I hate this Patriots team. I don't hate this Patriots team. Am I happy in the Super Bowl? No, I'm not happy in the Super Bowl. Two things can be true. I'll survive. The fact that Sam Darnold is in the Super Bowl and it's not for my team, that does bother me. This one, I could deal with it. All right, let's take a break. One more, and then we'll wrap things up.
We're putting you through a lot here, Dan. We're putting you through a lot.
Through the ringer. All right, stay right there. All right, we are back. Before we say goodbye, we check in over on the chat. Let's start with Boss Hog, who says, Connor, please lock against the Patriots again. We have, just so people know, and I'll clear the floor for you, Connor. In our lock competition, you're winless in the postseason. Winless beyond that as well. I don't know how long. What are we up to, 6? Whatever. But
it's like 8.
It's an unbelievable slump you're in. But you have locked against the Patriots 3 times. First against the Chargers, then against the Texans, and now against, of course, the Broncos. I wonder where you're going in the Super Bowl. Take it away.
Okay, so
It gets through Butler.
thanks, Justin. I didn't say it was a reverse jinx on Thursday because if you said that, it would fucking reverse the reverse jinx. And so you can't say that it's a reverse jinx. Of course it's a reverse jinx. It's Sean Payton. I'm picking Sean Payton to win a football game. Are you kidding me? And here's the thing. I realized that I had this dark power inside of me, like Voldemort, and I had a real appreciation for Mark because when this was happening to him, Mark just kept falling in love over and over again, and he was trying to find love. It was like one of those robots that wished it could make out with a human, and just time after time it failed and it failed. But me, I realized that I had the darkness, and I used the darkness for my own personal.
Spin.
I used the darkness for my own personal gain. I got the guy I wanted out of the playoffs, and now I ride into Santa Clara with no narratives that I don't want to write about, no team that I don't want to cover, and this is going to be like a vacation. We talked about I need one. This is going to be an 8-day vacation for Daddy, all alone in beautiful San Francisco, the home of the Grateful Dead. I'm going to have a great Super Bowl week.
Did you make
what a spin. Give him a trophy for that spin.
First of all, it's pretty amazing to think that we're all this true. And I'm not doubting you. I think you gave up on winning the locks conversation like a while ago. So it's like, let's create some havoc. But did you make eye contact with Sean Payton after going there in person to make sure that this whole thing went your way?
I mean, it was planes, trains, and automobiles. This trip cost me a lot on the personal front. My wife's home with 3 kids. We have no running water at the house. And there's like a foot of snow on the ground. And so, yeah, being here in person was important to me. And I got the job done.
All right. Let's see what else is out there. Thomas Anderson, before the curse, there was something known as a Sessler. The Zeuser tapped into Mark's true intuition with his blindfold exercise. Patriots win the Super Bowl. Yes. Maybe that exercise tapped into something that's deep down what you wanted, but just follow through on it, Sessy. Pick the Patriots. You're gonna pick the Patriots in 2 weeks?
Well, I want to say one thing because I knew, the minute I suggested that Justin tee up that video, I know what the response is going to be, and I.
Well, the natural one that you picked against them.
No, it's beyond my power. It's beyond my power.
Everybody's spinning tonight, huh?
No, it's not some lever pull that it's going to go in the other direction. That was a different type of exercise where it was go into your subconscious mind, and it just is the first thing I said, and look where they are.
All right, I guess you recovered either way. So, but that's what you do.
Well, that's how you do it.
Tim Wallman with a super chat. Thank you, Tim Wallman. Sam Darnold, Drake May, Stephon Diggs, and Mac Hollins in the Super Bowl before Josh Allen. Listen, sometimes I'd say, oh, that's not fair. We've gotten to that Josh Allen. Now, all
before
things
Lamar
are not equal. Remember, Josh Allen was defeated by a version of the Broncos that was very different than the Broncos that Drake May and the Patriots got. Most importantly, or really it's like two twin towers here. One was Bo Nix wasn't playing in this game. The other was the weather conditions, which turn this game upside down. But at the end of the day, yes, Josh Allen has had 8 seasons in the playoffs, still looking to get there. And here's Drake May in it right now. And by the way, spare me. I'm already seeing it out there. Spare me the warm and fuzzies about Stephon Diggs finally makes the Super Bowl. That guy sucks. Bad guy. Do some research. People, before you write your puff pieces, and I know you can't help yourself because one of his baby mamas is Cardi B, and you see that she's very available with the media right now. I know you want to go after Stephon Diggs and make him your feature piece and all this shit. His teammates said it. He's a bad guy.
Well, nobody want me to do this, is it? I'm a great guy. I'm actually a great guy.
Come on. But yes, the Drake thing.
You don't have to read
these
pieces, by the way. Like there's no.
I'm trying to help. It's a public service announcement to these people that maybe aren't doing the research. They just see that he's a good quote and he's dating a famous rapper. That's all.
I'd like to see a reporter dig in beyond that surface level. I mean, it depends what outlet they're coming from. All I ever called him was, but proof positive fertile. I don't think he's a good person necessarily. I don't really know him, but he's done some very wrong things.
I still don't know if this is possible, but there was a report that he had 4 women knocked up at the same time, including Cardi B earlier last year.
I think it's. Well, what do you mean by possible? Is it a good idea?
No, I'm saying, is that true? Is that like? I mean, it's a different world.
But we can get another source on that. But it persists. So.
The Mike Aguirre, shoot the legend recap rap into my veins. Yes, 2 weeks from tonight, Justin raps. How about that? Jordan Biaski, Zolak, surprisingly mid. I think I'm speaking Gen Z. Jordan, yeah, I'm kind of hoping, as much as it makes my blood boil. Yeah, Zolak is an example of like the old Patriots thing that does get under my skin a little bit. Zolak gets under my skin. Patriots fans get under my skin a little bit. The team, not as much.
Yeah, we'd always see Zolak at media night, and he's waltzing around
with sunglasses on like he's Howard Stern in 1992. It's like, what are we doing? Mike G, Dan/Connor, you both have blood on your hands with all your Chiefs hater past couple of years just for Patriots to be back in Super Bowl. Mark, I think you're safe. I don't even know what any of this means.
Let's put the beers down here.
Yeah, how about
I
that?
don't recall us hating the Chiefs. In fact, I thought we sort of said like they don't have a lot of hateable elements.
Why are we even talking about the Chiefs right now?
And you know what?
I know the question came in, but
you know
we
what,
have a chance not to talk about the Chiefs on an AFC Championship Sunday for the first time. What are we doing here, Justin?
I was just going to explain where that came from, but we can
need
move
to?
on if you'd rather. Yeah, no, I don't.
Connor?
I was just going to say, we're not hating on the Chiefs, Mike. The Chiefs hate you because they're leaving your city. Goodbye.
Ouch. Cold water.
All right. Let's see. A couple more. Julia, one of the 41. Stands strong. Excited to see Sam Darnold in the Super Bowl. What a comeback story. This may be the closest that Dan, the Jets fan, ever gets to the big game. I honestly do feel that way, like right now. But listen, it's not.
It's in the scope of possibility.
It's certainly in the scope of possibility. Let's see. A couple more. Ty Loveland, the show makes being a Patriots fan more enjoyable. Appreciate Dan, Connor, Justin, all the guys. Absolutely agree. And I'll tell you this, I do something because I'm a New York sports fan. Like, let's say the Yankees beat the Red Sox in a big game, and I know the Red Sox fans are going to be furious. First thing I'll do, well, not the first thing, but like when I'm like basking in the afterglow later in the night before bed, I'll head over to that Red Sox subreddit, and I'll just drink some of the salty tears as they suffer. And I know Red Sox fans do the same thing for the Yankees and all different fan bases. If you're a Pats fan and you're a fan of the show, enjoy this and enjoy that I'm suffering, and know that I'll be rooting very hard for you to have a terrible Sunday 2 weeks from now.
But you like the team.
Yeah, I do.
We don't need to dig into
I didn't
it,
say
but
I like the
it's just
team.
like,
Notice that I didn't say I like the team.
Right, but
they're just not hateable like the old Patriots.
We're going to go through this journey. Like,
yeah.
we with each of us, we have our own journey through all of this. Yours is going to, at some point, turn into incredible vitriol.
See this Star Trek figure that I had? My son's friend left it over the house. I'm going to use the Star Wars analogy. The old Patriots were like the Dead Star or whatever, where it was like you had Brady, Belichick, and this team doesn't have the same thing. You know what I mean, Mark? I just wanted to connect with you on that
don't know what
analogy.
you mean at all based on what you just said, but I could try to piece it together.
All right. And Lawrence Morris, thank you
Wow.
for dropping a big super chat. We love everyone that is on these live streams. They've been a big hit. We went once again over 1,000 at the same time. We know a portion of our audience, and not a small portion of our audience, is overseas in Europe and other territories where it's in the middle of the night. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to everybody. And shout out
this little thing I was going to show you.
Nice. Get that plug in. Heathenness out there.
Got this arrived a little bit late to my living quarters, but here it is. And I just
you got it. Exclusive merch. Yeah. HeedTheCallPodcast.com. We'll be back on Tuesday with a brand new episode. We're going to have our Don't Say Super Bowl episode. We're going to have tons of Super Bowl content. And for the people that don't want to just be obsessed with one game for the next 2 weeks, we got your back. Our show covers all things NFL. Mark, anything to add before we sign off?
I am going to be monitoring you very closely over the next 2 weeks, Dan.
We'll see. Right now, I'm being a good sport about it, but if we're talking about the Patriots winning another goddamn Super Bowl 2 weeks from tonight, that will be a test of the old Zuzzer. The Picks champion, baby! Heed the call!